There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers, a dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends, a place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view, but when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. You're tuned into the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. That guy is Tim Dennis. Hello, Tim.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Hey, we have a big show tomorrow, buddy.
Yeah.
It's been 9 years since this guest has visited with us, and I'm excited to have him back. True Terror with Robert Englund is a brand new show on the Travel Channel. It's a 6-episode miniseries, and I'm sure if it gets popular enough, they're going to make it a full-time thing. But we've got Robert Freddy Krueger Englund on the show tomorrow. We're going to spend an entire hour talking with him. As a matter of fact, I threw up a little deal on our Facebook the other day saying, I'm going to interview Robert Englund. Do you have any questions? So I got probably, about 5-10 questions on there that I put into the episode. A lot of people posted great questions, but he kind of answered some of those as the episode went on before we even got to the Q&A part. But we'll talk about his new show. He might or might not slip a couple of Freddy voices in there. I was, guess he did. We'll just say that. A couple times he responded as Freddy, which was pretty cool. And that's in there and going to be a part of the show. So make sure you tune in tomorrow for more of the best in paranormal talk radio as we discuss True Terror with Robert Englund and some of his favorite creepiest stories. Plus, he opens up about a ghost story that his mom shared with him.
Yeah.
And a UFO story that his father shared with him. So we're going to go deep into the world of Robert Englund tomorrow. So make sure you tune in for that. We've got supernatural news and ParaShare today. And Tim, I'm going to start off with an email.
Okay.
I got.
Sure.
It's one of those. It's one of those.
It's one of those, huh?
And this is about last week's episode.
Sure.
So I want to talk to you about this because maybe I'm unfairly assessing this.
Okay, sure.
And I'm not attacking Todd, the guy that wrote this.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
But I just sometimes what people perceive and what we did sometimes are like two different things to me. And I have a hard time when somebody says, oh, you guys did ABC. And then I think, and I'm like, no, really, we didn't.
Okay.
I don't know why you're picking up on that. But here's the email.
All right.
The title of the email is The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch with Dr. Travis Taylor, which was a great episode, by the way. It was, yeah. If you guys haven't seen it on History Channel, there's a new TV series called The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. So we titled last week's episode The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. Why? Because people are going to Google search The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch.
Right. And
we want our episode to show up in people's Google searches as well. So a lot of times when people have a TV show like Portals to Hell or Ghost Adventures or Holzer Files, we'll use the title of the show as the title of the program because when you look at it, you know immediately what you're going to get. I'll give you a little hint, folks. Tomorrow's episode will be called True Terror.
What?
With guest Robert Englund. So tune in for that. But this is what the email says. Dear Dave, I'm a subscriber, and I was listening to your podcast entitled The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch with Dr. Travis Taylor the other day. And I'm sorry to say I was really annoyed. A lot. Do you know how many secrets of Skinwalker Ranch there were on that episode? 0. Zip. Nada. Yep, no secrets for us. It's an hour and 15 minutes of an obvious advertisement for the TV show. And I was surprised that you were taken like that. I thought you were different. I do remember a podcast a few months ago where the interviewee did the same thing to you. I don't remember the subject, but it was obvious to the listener that he wasn't going to come forth with any stories or examples. He just wanted to sell his book and thought an hour of teasing would do it. You seem annoyed on that show. This time it appeared that you were in on it. By the way, I will never buy a book if someone does that, just on principle.
Okay.
I've been in the record and broadcast business for 45 years. A tease is only as good as the goods when they are finally presented. No goods equals no good. You shouldn't feel that bad, Dave. Coast to Coast AM did the same thing the other night. Consider this. Ask yourself, would Art Bell do this? One reason his shows were so successful was that he packed his shows with people telling stories, secrets, and bizarre facts. He never did 3 hours on how did you become involved with blank here. No one cares about that. People want the real stories. Just a thought. Dave, I really like you and always believed you were, if nothing else, honest. Were. Take care. Stay safe. Thanks for your time, Todd Schaefer. Well, first of all, Todd, and please understand, I mean no disrespect by this. You may have been in the business for 45 years. The business has changed. In order to get celebrities from different TV shows, they all come on with the tact of, I can talk, and this is on any show. Watch The Talking Dead after Walking Dead.
Right.
What can you tell us about next week's episode? There's going to be some conflict, and we're going to resolve some stuff. You can't give away, and that's just the way it is. That's been the way it's been on our show for 14 years.
3 initials, Todd. NDA, non-disclosure agreement. That's key. Yeah.
So in order to even get these people, they can come on and discuss. So what I try to do in these cases is, obviously we're not going to get much regarding each individual episode. So my hopes is to introduce you to a character who I think is fascinating, and Dr. Travis Taylor is certainly fascinating. So I wanted to introduce our audience to him and not tease so much, but give you a taste of why they decided to do this show now. And I thought he did reveal things. I mean, that he was talking about. He did. You know, we had this happen. We examined this concept. These things have happened or been reported. There was an injury. There was this. I even said, you guys, I really appreciate the fact that you're not just, exploring the history. You're not just looking at the land, but you're measuring even into the sky. You're testing different theories. And I thought he was pretty forthcoming in general ways because, again, you can't give it away. And that's just the way it is. So, when we have the different stars, the edict that they're given, because I'm on the Holzer Files on Travel Channel, I'm given the same edict. I can go on, I can say, I went to Whaley House. We had one of the most unusual experiences of my life. As a matter of fact, something happened to me there that has never happened at any other haunted location I've ever visited. And it really was profound. It was earth-shattering to me because I'd never had something like this occur. That you consider just a tease, but it is setting the plate for you. Now that I've set the table, your job as a listener and viewer is to take the plate that I've given you, and you can either decide as you're walking through the smorgasbord of our offerings to sit down and eat or walk away. If we didn't entice you enough with what we shared on the Secret of Skinwalker Ranch episode, you don't have to watch the TV series.
Right.
Our job is hopefully to make it kind of, oh, this guy sounds interesting. I like his background. And whereas, Todd, you believe nobody cares about how they got to this point, I disagree fully. The backstory of who we're speaking with, I think, is so important to why we're even having them on the show.
And, Todd, interestingly enough, if you listen to that show, the way you listened to it and the way you heard it, once you go back and you watch that first airing, if you listen to that interview again, there was quite a bit that was given up in that interview. In fact, Dr. Taylor gave up a lot. And when you go and watch the first three episodes, he gave up a lot in that interview. It's just that you haven't seen the episodes yet. And when you go back and listen to that interview, you go, oh, yeah, he did mention this. And he did mention that. And he did give up that detail. It's just you have no frame of reference because you haven't seen the episodes yet.
And in truth, sometimes describing something over the radio is not going to do justice for what you see when you watch the program. Right, it's like, I'm trying to think. all right, one of my all-time favorite movies is the movie About Time.
Mm-hmm.
When people say, well, why is it so good? I tell them, just watch it. And they're like, well, why? Or even the Tiger King miniseries, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you describe it and not make it sound stupid? Or like, I'm not going to watch that. That sounds ridiculous. It's one of those things where you just kind of have to watch it to understand it. Because my description, no matter how eloquent a speaker I may be, you describe some things like the movie About Time.
Mm-hmm.
If I boil it down, it's a time travel rom-com. I'm not a rom-com guy. Well, neither am I. But damn it, it's a great movie, and it's so much more than a time travel rom-com.
Right.
So it's hard to sometimes encapsulate the series or the program itself and give it enough attention so that it doesn't, it doesn't take away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So there are just some things like that you just can't explain. Another one, Jojo Rabbit. I've talked about that. I really like this movie. As a matter of fact, I've watched it like 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah.
But when on the whole, if I describe it to you, it's about this kid with his imaginary friend who's Adolf Hitler. A lot of people are like, what the no, right? And that's it. And that's all they hear.
Yeah.
Or, this kid who's growing up as a young Hitler youth. I don't want to see that. You're missing out if that's all you've heard.
Mm-hmm.
And here's this kid who's this diehard staunch wants to be a Hitler youth, and his mom is hiding a Jewish girl in the attic. I've seen this story with Diary of Anne Frank. No thanks. This sounds reminiscent of Sound of Music without the music. No thanks. You can't do it justice. It's just one of those where I tell people, just if you like me, trust me on this one. Mm-hmm. Go see it for yourself. I think you're going to really enjoy it. So for our listeners, About Time, it's on Netflix, it's on Hulu and Amazon. Watch it. It is truthfully one of the best movies you're going to have a chance to watch. It is so cleverly written, beautifully and subtly acted. It is humorous. It is sweet. It's charming. So go see it. If I give you any more than that, I think it detracts from the story of what you see. So in essence, some of these shows like this, I want to tease it out so that you understand the concept of what the show is, understand who we're talking to, why we're talking to them, and why they were brought onto the show to begin with. Because I want to know those credentials. Why, Dr. Travis Taylor? Why are you there? Are you a podiatrist, Dr. Travis Taylor? No, he's an astrophysicist who's worked with NASA, who's worked with this. So he has a background in actual sciences, right? Because there are a lot of people that call themselves doctor that are not doctors.
Right.
Not medical, not spiritual. Not they're given a title or they buy a title online.
Yeah.
So I want to know who this person is and why. And did you ever have experiences? Were you already predisposed to believe these things? And sometimes they go into these interesting aspects of their life for why they weren't a believer. I want to know then, once we've got that nugget, this never interested me. But now, after what I've experienced on Skinwalker Ranch, I'm reevaluating my life. That is a huge reveal. Mm-hmm. That's telling you that it's taken a skeptic, somebody who doesn't believe in ghosts and aliens and cryptids, and turned this guy's life on his ear, and now he's thinking, what the hell am I encountering? And that's powerful to me. I don't know.
It is. And knowing that he's given you that reveal now and giving you that, you can follow that journey and see what exactly took that skeptic to become somewhat of a believer, even though he's holding on desperately to these skeptical roots, which I find fascinating. And you can follow that mini journey, and that's what really brings you into that journey and makes you want to watch the program. And I don't know what more you're looking for, Todd. I get it. I get what you're looking for, and I think you're romanticizing a little bit about what art did and what art didn't do. If you go back and you listen to some of those classic programs, I'm not going to tell you where you can find them, but if you do go back and listen to some of those classic programs, art really didn't do some of the things that I think you're thinking he did. I have listened to some of those.
Or he did it with people 20 years ago that didn't have the same disclosure aspects put in play.
Right. There were no NDAs at that point. Yeah.
Right. Or there were, and he held those interviews differently.
Right.
Well, no, he was just a great interviewer. Listen, if you listen to a lot of these shows, I still get people to come around and tell us things that they probably shouldn't have.
Right.
Or they've given us more meat. And that's like Tim said, if you go back and you actually watch the series, you're going to see just how much this guy did give to us. But if you remember, I also tell him, will you come back once the complete series has aired?
Yep.
So that we can then go deeper into these findings. And he said, yeah. So this is a bookend. We're doing the interview before the show airs. Mm-hmm. Now the show has aired. Now we're going to revisit with him to talk about the things that were uncovered. Mm-hmm. It is a slow burn show. And if we want to break everything down, the mystery of or Curse of Oak Island, Destination Truth, Expedition Unknown, a lot of these programs, it's more about the journey. Right? It's going out there to look into this. And then you see the beautiful scenery, his wonderful sense of humor and personality, going into these places where the legends began. But very often, well, in every episode, these shows, they never really strike gold, per se. He didn't find the treasure of the Sierra Madre. He didn't, but it was so fun to go along the journey and see things that you as a viewer would never have seen on your own.
Yeah.
And go to these places and let him be your guide. So there are those aspects. Curse of Oak Island, it's a fascinating show, but like the payoff is different than Deadliest Catch. Deadliest Catch, you see these people going out there, you see them fighting the rough seas, hauling in these, getting injured, fighting amongst the crew, and then at the end there's the payoff of, hey, Dave and Tim's ship, we got more crabs. We won this week. Mm-hmm. So there is that payoff, but that's not the same formula on all these shows. And actually, I believe The Secret of Skinwalker has been more fruitful than shows like The Curse of Oak Island, which is on like season 98.
Yeah.
And people love it. Or Finding Bigfoot.
Right.
Or was it Chasing? Was it Finding or Chasing Bigfoot? No, it's Chasing Amy, Finding Bigfoot.
Yep, Finding Bigfoot.
Two totally different things.
Yeah.
Or Finding a Bigfoot named Amy that we're chasing.
Right.
Anyway, when you examine that show, wildly popular, but it never delivered Bigfoot. That we never found Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. We found strange noises, strange things taking place. So I think a lot of it is how you look at these different things.
Yes. Yeah.
That's my take, and I could be wrong.
No.
It's been known to happen, Tim. I don't know if you're aware of that. I've been wrong on occasion. I don't like to admit it, but it's true.
Yeah,
so,
a little bit.
And Art Bell, listen, was a legend and is a legend, and I was so thankful to be able to walk in his shoes and be a fill-in host on Coast to Coast AM and be the final, to be a host on his final show, Midnight in the Desert. I find that great. But again, people romanticize a lot about Art and what he was willing to do or how he gleaned these interviews. And if you do go back, I'm not taking anything away from his skill and ability. The guy was an amazing interviewer and was great at getting at points, but he also had his shortcomings. It is what it is. Sometimes you're only as good as the guest. You can, and you guys have listened for 14 years. Some guests, Tim and I are like, God, this guy, and then all of a sudden he blossoms and he becomes a wonderful guest, but it's only after 15 minutes of pulling teeth that I finally find that tumbler to open the guy up and get the better story from them. Some people, no matter how much you finesse it, no matter how kind you are, they just don't open. Right. And you can't get past that shell. And that's why I've actually preferred doing these shows in this format. We used to do a 3-hour nightly show. Mm-hmm. And when you've got a guest booked for 3 hours and they answer a question with one sentence, or so you, Tim, you were actually afraid to be in that basement. Yeah, I was.
Yep.
Why? Well, it was dark and creepy.
Because.
Right. I mean, then that takes, you can only do it. Now we have 90 minutes. If I get a guy who sucks and just isn't finessed in how to tell a story, we'll end the interview. Mm-hmm. And I'll get the best bites I can out of him for an hour. And then we let him go. Sometimes they're so good, you and I stretch these shows into 2 hours. Mm-hmm. Just depends on the quality of the guests that you're able to get. And no matter how great an interviewer you are, you can't always romance the stone. You can't finesse the gem out of the junk. So that's where it goes. And we spent a lot of time talking about this, but I just want people to kind of get that concept. And again, Todd, I appreciate your insights. Thank you for listening. Thank you for writing in. But understand the TV show episodes are going to be named. Our show is going to be named after them.
Yeah. Yep.
It's going to be like when we talk to Dr. Travis Taylor at the end of the series and have him back, it'll be more secrets behind Skinwalker Ranch or something. So it's still the title. We just add something to it. So when people are seeking these bits of information, they'll find it more casually that way. So that's the way it works. But trust me, there are days Tim and I are just as frustrated as you. But we also understand people want to hear these celebrities come on our show. They want to hear these people come out and talk about what motivates them, what puts them into these mindsets, why they're doing this to begin with. What are they bringing that's different than what everybody else has brought to this program? So you've got to get to those bits of the story. And that was one of our, truthfully, in the last 2 months, one of the fastest downloaded episodes we've had. And it's just almost double what most of our episodes are getting on Podcast One. And we get a lot of downloads per episode. We're at well over 150,000 downloads per episode. And this one blew up within a few days. We had that many, if not more. So people like it. We've been getting great feedback on it. Not every interview is everybody's cup of tea, and we understand and respect that. And I respect your insights on this. But, and we do try to warn our authors, too. I'll tell them, listen, I need a more creative way to tell me it's in the book, because you're going to piss me off and you're going to piss our listeners off, and they're going to turn off like that. So when you say, well, I don't want to get in any further, that's in the book, find more creative ways to answer that. Give me a bite and then say, but I can't do it justice in this few seconds. The rest of the story is in the book. Just find ways to do that. And I said, and that's, as you and I know, Tim, there are times I'll wait and I'll let him say, well, I don't want to give any more away. That's in the book. I'll take a beat, and then I ask him another question that's basically the same question.
Right.
And I get them to tell me the story anyway.
Right.
So sometimes you have to look past that. Well, I'm not going to buy the book because they said that. That's their job too. They've written something they want you to read. They don't want to give it away in a 60 or 90-minute interview where they make no money.
Right.
They want you to get deeper into the books. And I want you to know that even on these shows, sometimes when we're 2 hours in, we still skim the surface. Well, that's it. You should go deeper. You can only go so deep without totally revealing the hand of the book, which is why they're on with you to begin with. And a lot of these guests don't want a fully developed story. They want to give you bits and pieces of what happened. Some will just vomit up information in copious amounts, and that's great too. But some, they really want their book to sell, and you can't begrudge them that. That's why they wrote the book. They wanted to put the story out there, and that's their form of income. They're authors. So, we try to be understanding of that. Hopefully you as listeners can be as well. So thank you for listening, Todd. And, feel free, folks. You can write in and give us your thoughts on that. Dave at darknessradio.com. And let us know what you think. I also threw out last week, Tim, I wanted to know about your best and worst concert.
Oh, yeah.
Experiences. So we do have a few emails on that. I'll go through today on the episode as well.
Sure.
Here's one from Susan. She says, I've been to many, maybe too many back in the day, including Led Zeppelin, Edgar Winter, Chicago, Journey, and more. But hands down, without a doubt, no comparison, favorite concert from Susan is Earth, Wind, and Fire.
They were good.
She says, picture an empty stage, mist blowing across the subtle colored lights. Then each member starts to rise up from beneath the floor dressed in their fantastic African garb. Then the music, oh my God! That's what Susan Chestnut says.
Yeah.
There's her story. You've seen Earth, Wind, and Fire, yeah?
I have, yeah. I saw them on my birthday a couple of years ago. Yeah.
They're
extremely tight as far as any band goes. And if music could hit you, you know how sometimes when you've been there with Springsteen and other bands where you're sitting there and music hits you as a sonic wave and hits you as an emotion to the point where you tear up. That's how Earth, Wind, and Fire hit me in concert.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So
that's like funny how sometimes those concerts can make you emote. And I mean, just in seeing your celebrities come out and the way they perform or the way they interact with the band, of course, Born in the USA was my first Bruce Springsteen concert, and I saw it in the heat of the the hype in 84, 85 at Soldier Field, and it was amazing. But every concert that I've seen of Springsteen's, with the exception of the Northrop Auditorium one we talked about last week, has been phenomenal. Remember, we went and saw him on Halloween. Back in the 90s. And the way that they had the fog come rolling out on stage, and all the band members slowly come up, and Danny Federici or Roy Bittan is doing a dun 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 dun, and they come wheeling up the coffin up on stage, and they stilt it and then open it up, and Bruce Springsteen's inside the coffin with the guitar, and the door swings open and he steps out, and they go into Spirits in the Night. I love the theatrics of these shows. Kiss live. When I went and saw the reunion Kiss tour, holy expletive. I was transported. I was suddenly a 10-year-old boy with my mind blown. There's fire and blood and smoking guitars going up, and Gene Simmons flying up into the rafters. And it was such a production that I felt like a little kid throughout the entire show and loved it. So, yeah, I love theatrics of a good stage presentation and a great program.
I do too. I almost thought I could have probably scored free tickets for that last Kiss concert that just came through a couple months ago. Not even a couple months ago, month and a half ago, where David Lee Roth opened. A couple things kept me away from it. One, and I'm not crying, I have an eyelash that jumped in my eye.
Story. Sure.
One reason I think I'm crying, because David Lee Roth's voice has gone to hash. The other, and even though people say he got better as that tour kept going, one was David Lee Roth and his seemingly poor performance. The other was, I can't get behind this newest lineup of Kiss. I just can't. And the fact that, they're saying, it's going to be Kiss's last tour. It's probably their 13th last tour. So I really don't think that, they're going to, I don't think this is the last tour by any means. And Gene Simmons once said Kiss could be one of those franchises that they could hand down from generation to generation, and you could always see a lineup of Kiss somewhere down the line. So I don't think by any means that this is Kiss's last tour, even though they say it.
I do. I think they're going to go out with this big tour. I mean, you got to remember, though, Paul Stanley's in like 98. And,
they're all in their 60s and 70s. Yeah.
His voice wasn't holding up the last time we saw them, and that was 5-6 years ago when Def Leppard opened up for him. He still has a stage charisma and presence, but he wasn't hitting notes. Maybe it was just an off night, but I don't know. Shows are like that. You miss it. But yeah, I'm glad we saw Van Halen reunion tour when we did, because from my understanding, that was kind of their apex of the reunion, and then it started to slide pretty quickly in David Lee Roth's abilities. And certainly when you see him, any of the videos online from their live performances, they're brutal. But kind of a shame. One more quick one, then we'll get into supernatural news. Here's one from Anthony, and he says, my favorite concert has been Rammstein. Is that how you say it? Rammstein?
Rammstein?
I don't know.
Rammstein, yeah. Du hast.
Pyro and crowd interaction is uplifting. My worst would be Marilyn Manson.
Really?
I've seen him twice. The first time was a great show. The second time he was drunk on his ass and trying to get naked on stage. Love your show. Sincerely, Anthony.
I've heard that Marilyn Manson's hit or miss.
Yeah. All right, well, let's dip into it. We've got some supernatural news to examine. Tim, where are we going to start now?
We're going to start with the man behind the 1966 UFO craze, Dave. Every seacoaster knows about the unidentified lights that shocked a young Norman Muscarello and baffled Exeter police officers in the early 1960s. And you've certainly heard tales of Portsmouth's Betty and Barney Hill, who, after Betty saw a light in the sky, came to believe they had been abducted and examined by small, uninformed men from outer space. What you may not know is that...
Uninformed or uniformed?
Uniformed or uninformed. I don't know.
Those uninformed aliens.
Yeah, uniformed men from outer space. I got David Lee Roth on the brain right now, to be honest with you. What you may not know is that both The Incident at Exeter and The Uninterrupted Journey, the two books that brought this region UFO fame, were written by the same freelance journalist from Connecticut who had a passion for the paranormal. Before he mastered the nonfiction bestseller, John Grant Fuller Jr., who died in 1990, had been a playwright a documentary filmmaker, and a columnist for the Saturday Review. Fuller wrote and produced TV shows including DuPont Show of the Week, The Gary Moore Show, and Candid Camera. Before The Flying Saucers, Fuller's only book-length work was a study of price fixing in the electrical industry. Then came reports of a UFO in New Hampshire. Fuller became interested in what he called the rash of sightings in the Exeter area and wrote a short piece for the Saturday Review. Fuller began the year 1966 with Outer Space Ghost Story. His article about the strange lights over Exeter, New Hampshire, appeared in Look magazine. That article was abridged in the May 1966 issue of Reader's Digest, reaching millions. The story was then expanded in True magazine in August, this time titled Incident at Exeter. Fuller's book-length version by the same name arrived that summer, even as he was wrapping up the manuscript of The Interrupted Journey, also published in 1966. The Hills had seen their UFO back in 1961, but it had taken years for them through hypnosis sessions to work out what they believed, although their doctor disagreed, was an alien abduction. Fuller heard about the Hills from Derry, New Hampshire newspaper editor Conrad Quimby and quickly signed the couple to a book contract. The Hill story would follow a similar path of magazine excerpts and book sales. Their story became embedded in UFO culture. Fuller wrote a third book on the topic, Aliens in the Skies, The New UFO Battle of Scientists, which was published in 1969 before the topic played out. Fuller wrote a number of popular nonfiction books on topics, including nuclear power, a chemical plant explosion, a killer virus, timely, and the rock band The Who. He also focused on paranormal topics, including ghosts and faith healers. Historic Portsmouth is presented every Thursday by J. Dennis Robinson, who is the author of a dozen books on topic, including Strawberry Bank Museum, Wentworth by the Sea Hotel, the 1873 Smutty Nose Murders. Don't know if you're familiar with that, Dave. And just released the Music Hall of Portsmouth. You can visit Amazon.com to see those. So there you go.
Now, we do have some of those books in our Amazon shop. So if you go to darknessradio.com, click on the storefront little banner there, it'll take you in and you can click into our Amazon store. We have paranormal books, we have true crime books, we have paranormal gift items, we have a wide myriad of really cool items. And every time you make a purchase, a very small percentage goes to the show. So make sure you go order that. Otherwise, we do have a link for it on today's program. You could just click it. It'll take you right to our store, and you'll be able to find more cool information. All right, Tim, where are we going next in the world of supernatural news?
Well, we were talking about Skinwalker Ranch earlier and the secret of Skinwalker Ranch. These are the three craziest UFO, odd creature, and unexplained happenings from that ranch. There's a place in America, it says here, that no one knows too much about, at least until you've seen the episodes of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. It's not Area 51, though you're not too far off. Skinwalker Ranch is a secretive plot of land in the middle of Ballard, Utah. It's known for unexplained happenings, which have been considered paranormal, extraterrestrial, and overall entirely baffling. The stories from the ranch, which used to be owned by the Pentagon as a place to research UFOs, I don't know if that's entirely accurate after watching that show, however. It said, right. Didn't Dr. Taylor say the Pentagon never owned it?
Yeah, he said it was never owned by the government.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I remember that a long time ago. I don't know if it's because Bigelow had government contracts that they consider that it was part of it. I'm not sure.
It says, according to a New York Times article in 2017, that the government owned it. But it ran rampant online, but have always been beyond explanation. Now the ranch has a new owner, Brandon, is it Fugel, right? Yep. And he's finally ready to let outsiders in. While Skinwalker Ranch isn't open for the public to explore, they can visit virtually in the History Channel's new series, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. That research series documentary kicked off this past Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Newsweek spoke with Fugel ahead of the series, and he admitted that owning the ranch has made him open his mind to things that he may not have believed before. He says, for the first time in my life, I have been witness to things that defy any conventional explanation. My experiences on the ranch have forced me to re-examine my views and to keep a more open mind, he said. In anticipation of the series debut, these are three of the craziest happenings from the legendary UFO hotspot, including cattle mutilations. One of the biggest curiosities involving Skinwalker Ranch is the unexplained occurrences of meticulous cattle mutilation that have apparently happened in daylight. The source of these mutilations is unknown. The odd, gory happenings were first featured in the 2018 documentary Hunt for the Skinwalker, which focuses on the ranch and was made by filmmaker Jeremy Corbell, who is also known for the 2018 doc Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers on Netflix. It could be easy to claim that some common predator was responsible, but the cattle dissections have been found to be medically precise, which seems to eliminate the possibility of a wild animal. Cows aren't the only animals that have died oddly on the ranch, though. Even family dogs were incinerated, according to the History Channel. Former owners of Skinwalker Ranch claim to have spotted UFOs and even aliens 7 feet tall. It's far from the only UFO-related story, and the ranch is even nicknamed UFO Alley by many. There are also tales of unexplained lights around the large property, which the History Channel aims to explain. The ranch's data scientist, Travis Taylor, told Newsweek these are things that could be seen during a live stream of the ranch, as they happen often. Watch closely and you're likely to see UFOs, strange lights in the sky appearing and vanishing, the mesa glowing and flickering, unknown creatures wandering by, and any number of crazy things you won't believe until you see, he said. Unexplained creatures is another thing you'll see on the ranch. The History Channel claims people often see unidentified beasts on the property, which could be skinwalkers. The term comes from the Navajo legend that these animal-like creatures are witches that can transform into beasts. Skinwalkers are associated with negative energies, not good witches. In addition to the unexplained figures, a deranged and unkillable wolf is a legend on the ranch, too. It's said by some that the previous owners once saw a giant wolf attacking their cattle. When the wolf was shot over and over again, it apparently showed no sign of pain or weakness and ran off uninjured. That's the end of that story. I thought there were three. And I guess there's only two.
The episode we did last week with Dr. Travis Taylor is still available. If you haven't listened to it, despite what our other writer sent in earlier, I think it's a great episode. And Dr. Travis Taylor gave us some great insights and information and background on the ranch, some of the theories, the ideas, the stories, and updating us on what's actually gone on there between what Bigelow's research and work found and what they've got going on the new program. So check it out for yourself. All right, what's our next story, Mr. Dennis?
We head over to Hollywood, Dave, where once again we talk about Robbie Williams. He always seems to be seeing or saying something. This has to do with ghosts and spirits this time, where Robbie Williams says that those ghosts and spirits have stopped visiting him since having his 4 children. You would think it would be the opposite, but it's not.
No, now he just doesn't have time for the ghosts, probably. Right,
he's busy chasing kids.
In all seriousness. Plus, there's all that racket in the background. You know, when you've got 4 kids, you probably miss out on a lot of stuff you thought you were doing. And then at night, you're so exhausted, who's out looking at the stars?
That's right. That and the chatter. It's just too quiet to hear whispers. Or it's too busy to hear whispers. Exactly. I don't know what I'm saying. For almost 2 decades, Robbie Williams has been intrigued by the paranormal, but it isn't interested in him anymore. The Angels singer claims to have spoken to ghosts, been visited by aliens, and seen strange orbs of light that he was convinced were extraterrestrial life forms. But he says they have all deserted him since he had 5-year-old lad Charlie, daughters Teddy, 7, and Coco, 1, and baby son Bo. Robbie said, the strangest thing is that since I've had kids, the phenomena... Phenomena. Phenomena.
Bam! That's it.
Okay. Has ceased to happen. I'm guessing that once you've had kids, they just take up all your energy and your thoughts. Yeah, they do. The superstar currently lives in L.A., but said his religious upbringing in Stoke-on-Trent is what got him interested in the supernatural. He explained, I was told at a very early age that I used to see people that had passed on, and I would talk to them. That kind of carried on through my youth. Then I stopped talking to them because I found drugs.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
Usually people that start talking to them stop once they start on the drugs. Unless he was like doing mind-altering experiments and psychedelics.
Got to start up the drugs, I guess. I came out of the womb a Catholic, he said. That must have been painful, especially the rosary beads and the crosses. So you're told all these amazing stories about this incredible man who walked on water and, made scampi for everyone. Jesus made scampi?
I don't recall. Maybe it's a different version of the Bible over in England.
It might have been.
I remember some loaves and fishes. I remember, the great college frat party trick where he would turn water into wine.
There was that.
And back again.
Yeah.
I remember healing the lepers.
Yeah, there's that.
I remember eating with the taxpayers and the hookers.
Yep.
I don't remember when he started whipping out the old scampi.
Yeah.
Maybe Jesus did fondue parties, do you think?
It could have been. I wonder if he used the chocolate or the cheese.
He's the Lord Jesus Christ. All he did was touch the cheese and it turned into chocolate when he wanted to dip in the chocolate things. Touch the chocolate, it would turn into cheese for the cheesy things.
That's so good. That's such a good trick.
That part of the Bible you have to find in the Gnostic subsect Bibles, the Book of Darkness, I believe it's under.
Yeah, the Book of Dark Chocolate or Milk Chocolate.
Exactly.
Probably dark chocolate because it's better for you. So you're already open to the possibility of the paranormal. I wonder if Jesus had his own red lobster. I wonder if that was actually started by the disciples. Red Lobster, maybe?
I would think more like a Long John Silver's because they were more fishermen.
That might be. It might be. You might be onto something or you're on something, one or the other.
A little bit of
it could be. My mom had these books, Robbie went on to say, on her shelves about fairies and UFOs, so my mind has already been open to this stuff, he went on to say. Oh, he's an expert. He spoke about his experiences on U.S. radio, where he detailed his four most notable encounters with the paranormal world, including one at Utah's Skinwalker Ranch. That's right, Robbie Williams has been to Skinwalker Ranch. Don't be jelly. Which is a hotbed for UFO sightings. And he admitted that he would have... Sorry. That's okay. And he admitted he would have bought the U.S. site if he had not been married to Ida Field. He would have bought Skinwalker Ranch, and then he, I don't know, probably would have had a big concert on it. He said there were big rumors on the internet that I'd bought the ranch. That's the kind of dumb stuff that I do and not tell my wife, he said. She knows that I didn't do that, and now the whole world knows I don't own it. But if I didn't have a wife, I would have bought the ranch, he went on to say. There you go.
Robbie Williams on the Skinwalker Ranch. Well, he's been there. That's an important thing.
Yeah, he actually goes into a little bit of detail about his Skinwalker Ranch experience here. He said, we're heading back to the motel. My security guard, Neil, says, when you came out of the restroom, an 8 to 9 foot shadow figure followed you out. Probably just to check out Rockstar's junk.
He comes out of the bathroom. The shadow person's waving his hand, going, do not go in there.
That's right. Fish and chips does not come out of Robbie well. He has 3 other experiences here if you want to hear the close encounters that Robbie had.
Please.
Yeah, in the San Fernando Valley.
Oh, yeah. That's right over by Ban San Bernardino.
I wonder, did I mix this properly this morning?
I don't. Obviously not. You went a little heavy on the vanilla. I'm thinking.
I think I did.
Vanilla Coke he's drinking, folks.
I am. I'm drinking vanilla.
Although the
Coke.
show is not supported by Vanilla Coke
it is
or the good folks at Coke. It is, though, by Snarky Tea. Dave's little sister owns a tea company. Get Snarky Tea. Check it out at snarkytea.com.
There you go. In the San Fernando Valley, Robbie Williams said, I was writing the song about alien abduction called Arizona, and I'm listening to it. As I'm listening to it, a gold ball appears in the sky. That was his one close encounter there. Better
than blue ones.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you don't want your blue balls falling out of the sky.
That is a fact, Jack.
Yeah, landing on someone's chin. That'd be terrible. We go to Luxor, Egypt, where Robbie says, in front of me is the hotel garden, the road, and the stalls. I look back and everything had disappeared.
Dun, dun, dun. Where did it go?
Yeah, I don't know. And
it's not much of a... It was more of a statement.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And then his fourth close encounter, back to California, he says, very slowly above the palm trees came this square object. This thing was 25 to 50 yards away and silent. It had yellow stripes and was matte black. Not the guy Matt Black, but matte black, as in flat matte black. You know what I'm saying. It stopped and then wandered off.
Wasn't that your rap name in the 80s?
Yes, it was Flat Matte Black.
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't really, it rhymed. It was a good rhyme scheme, but nobody really got behind it.
No.
And then they said you're more the round mound of sound than the flat matte black.
Round mound of sound.
Yeah, so I had to change my name. It was kind of
that should have been your album.
Yeah, it should have
been. Flat Matte Black should have been the Round Mound of Sound album. I might have bought that.
Would you?
Yeah, of course. You know I'd always support you.
That's where I failed miserably, I think. Yeah. Well, there you go. It? Yeah, that's the story right there.
Let's do this. Let's take a deep breath. Let's cleanse our souls.
This message brought to you by FEMA. Home fires occur most often in winter. Keep anything that can catch fire at least 3 feet from heating equipment. And never use an oven to heat your home. Stay in the kitchen when frying, grilling, or broiling food. Turn space heaters off when you leave the room or go to bed. Make sure all vents are clear of snow and ice to allow carbon monoxide to vent outside. Have your furnace, heating system, and chimneys serviced each year by a qualified professional. Learn more at www.usfa.fema.gov.
This is Supernatural News and ParaShare here on another Saturday. And thank you very much for joining Tim and I as we share emails from you, your stories. And Tim, I don't know if you know this, but we have a phone number you can call.
What?
A phone number. Yeah, it's our Voices from Beyond voicemail. It's probably shown backwards on my video screen here. 651 300-4977, 651-300-4977. People have suddenly gotten very quiet out there, Tim.
They have, yeah.
Our phones have not been ringing, and it makes me a little frightened, to be honest with you. I hope everybody's okay and safe.
I hope so, too.
Maybe you're just being shy, but you can call that number any time of day and tell us your paranormal stories, and we will show them or play them on an upcoming episode of the best in paranormal talk radio. That is Darkness Radio. You're listening to it now. Be a part of the show. Voices from Beyond voicemail, 651-300-4977. You can also email your stories into me, Dave at darknessradio.com. Last week we threw out, what were your best concerts, worst concert that you've ever been to? Did you tell us what was your best concert that you ever went to, Tim?
I can't pick one. I've got like 3.
Okay. What are the top best concerts?
That's bad. 3. The Rolling Stones.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, there are 2 Rolling Stones concerts. There's the Bridges to Babylon one that we went to, and the Steel Wheels tour, 89. That concert was amazing.
I bet 89, they were still just fantastic. I mean, they're still great.
Yeah. But they had this huge structure that looked like, for lack of a better term, it looked like a huge oil refinery. I mean, it was just, but it took up, the entire Metrodome. But the music was incredible, and they went for 3.5 hours. You just can't play for that long.
All right. So Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones. People are going to think I'm nuts when I say this. The 1986 tour of David Lee Roth with the band of Steve Vai, Billy Sheehan, and Greg Bissonette on drums was probably the best ensemble band I've ever heard in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding. Out of all the concerts you've seen. A David Lee Roth solo concert was one of the top 3.
Just that band in itself. Not saying David Lee Roth was the best singer I've ever seen.
Oh, right.
But entertainment-wise was one of the best shows I've ever seen. That band was so solid, so tight, was so good technically that I've never seen anything like it in my life. I was physically exhausted at the end of that concert. It was so good.
Cool.
And honestly, the third one would have been Prince's Musicology tour. That concert was amazing. In the middle of it,
he got funky for no reason?
No, he did not. I think
he had a reason.
He did have a reason. I think you would have been impressed. In the middle of it, he had this giant stage that was formed like his symbol, and I think you can even see the highlights maybe on YouTube. I'm not sure. I don't know if his estate has pulled it down or not. But in the middle of it, he sits down and he does an acoustic set. And he not only does his hits in a medley, but he also does like, I'm trying to remember if it was Led Zeppelin, Whole Lotta Love. And he does different stuff each night. And when you take the tour of Paisley Park, they show you outtakes of that acoustic set. So you get to see, I think there's a outtake of the Musicology tour from Detroit. And he actually he did different acoustic sets every night. So you would get different covers from different eras. So he did Sly and the Family Stone. He did Led Zeppelin. He did all kinds of different things. And he really did take different eras of rock and roll, different eras of funk that he loved. And he would do it on the guitar. And I'm trying to remember what he did in St. Paul the night that I saw him. I think he did Led Zeppelin. He did his own hits. He did like 3 of his own hits. And he did, I'm trying to remember what else he did. But it was amazing.
But
the whole show was
an
amazing.
Show.
Yeah.
All right. So those are your top 3.
Those are my top 3.
What would you say is your worst concert that you ever saw?
Boy, I've seen some bad ones.
Just if you had to go to the gut, what would be the first worst one that you could think of?
Boy, people are going to hate me for this. There was a Beach Boys show I saw once that I wanted to get the hell out of, and there was a Manhattan Transfer concert I wanted to get the hell out of.
What people are going to hate you for that, Tim?
I'm going to probably hear there are probably some Beach Boys fans out there that really are going to hate me. But I was trapped at a Beach Boys concert once with my grandmother. I went because I love her.
Trapped at a Beach Boys
concert. I love my grandmother so much, and God rest her soul. But I just went because I wanted to spend time with her, and and then when I was younger, Manhattan Transfer. I went to see the Manhattan Transfer when I was a kid at the State Fair, and I just wanted to mash my head into the stands.
You look like you're still in pain from it.
I am. I'm suffering. Yeah. Thinking about it, I'm suffering.
Here's an email. Hello, Tim and Dave. Oh, shuffling the order, I see. Best concert, Metallica at U.S. Bank Arena in Cincinnati. Amazing show. All the hits, great seats, and it was free for me.
Oh.
Got a Kirk Hammett guitar pick and a concert T-shirt. Worst concert was coincidentally the Four Horsemen, a Metallica cover band.
Oh.
A hole-in-the-wall avenue in Cincinnati called Bogarts. The opening band was too loud to even hear. It was deafening. Went out for a smoke to give my ears a break while I and a friend I don't know how the hell he wrote this, basically saying, while my friends and I were out smoking and chatting, one of our 4 other friends gets let out by security, bloodied, followed closely by another friend, also bloodied. They were kicked out before the headliner even got on stage. Good luck to you two. Love the show. Keep up the great work. And that also comes from Anthony.
Anthony, I have something very sad to tell you. I actually am so old that I remember sitting at the Van Halen Monsters of Rock tour here in Minneapolis and watching a bunch of meatheads boo, actually a bunch of meatheads, more than a few thousand meatheads, boo Metallica as they played because they didn't understand Metallica at the time.
Wow. They
were relatively, not new. They had a couple of albums out. I knew who they were. I liked them. But there were a bunch of...
That's funny. It's like the Monkees, believe it or not.
Yeah.
During part of their concert tour, they actually had, the original, they had Jimi Hendrix open up for them.
Yeah.
And Jimmy was out there, and we want Davey. We want Davey. And they're cheering him.
It's that exact
and
same
he flipped
deal.
out at the last one. He slung his guitar over and just started flipping out the audience and left.
It's that exact same misunderstanding. It was a generational thing. So you had the older crowd that was there to see Van Halen, Scorpions, Dokken, that listened to Metallica and went, "What is this shit?"
I think you meant Van Hagar.
Well, it was Van Hagar at that time because it was the OU812 tour. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm listening to the Sammy Hagar book on Audible right now, as a matter of fact.
How is it?
Read. Good. I just wish he would have read it. I don't know who the guy is that's reading the book, and you're better with this. Maybe it's one of his band members or a friend or somebody important to him. Let me see if I can pull it up. Let me see. The book is called Red by Sammy Hagar, and he covers all of his life and now for some reason it's not opening. He covers his life, and he covers the
Van
work
Halen
before Van Halen, after during Van Halen, and after Van Halen. But the guy who reads it, man, kind of sounds like this throughout the whole book. But it's good because that's kind of the voice you want to hear from a rocker.
Yeah.
But you listen to the Van Halen book by Noel Monk, and how insane Van Halen was, and you listen to Sammy, and he's so tame by comparison.
Oh yeah,
you're just like, oh, this guy's not nearly as nuts as everybody else. So good book.
I've always wanted to get Sammy on the show because he's had some significant paranormal experiences. Yeah.
He talks about it in his book, Red. He's very open about it. Possible alien, possible UFO, not possible ghost. He had dream visitations quite a few times.
Yeah.
And he's very open about it in the book. It's so matter of fact, too, because you're like, yeah, man, I was on the road. We were doing this, and I was jamming with that, and we were doing this, and we set that on fire, and I was getting late all the time. And then I saw a ghost, and then I was out touring again with the next album. You're like, what? It's just like, and he's big into numerology.
Yeah, his latest album had something to do with an entire, not really an intention experiment, but it was like it was an intention experiment having to do with the whole universe. It was weird. It was kind of ahead of its time, but you'd have to see you'd have to see the interview to understand the whole deal. But yeah.
Speaking of intention experiments, here's an email from Valerie O'Day. Hello, can you please add 2 groups to your prayer lists? I'm a disaster relief coordinator. Northeast Oregon, Southeast Washington, and Tennessee are both struggling with the flooding tornadoes. But at this point, we have had to cease all volunteer activities due to COVID-19. These people are struggling with the despair of losing everything, and now their neighbors can't even help them. Hope is dwindling rapidly. Valerie O'Day asks for prayers then for all of the people being affected by this horrific weather in the United States and dealing with COVID. So please, folks, if you have it in your time and patience to just put a little thought and prayer, good intentions, positivity, whatever you can do. I know it just feels like, what can we do? And, I will admit sometimes it feels like the prayer is just trite and, well, that's, oh, good, pray in one hand and wish in the other. But you know what? I still do believe by coming together with positive thoughts, we've seen things change. That's all we can hope for at this point. For all of us feeling powerless to do anything besides stay in our homes, pray for softening of hearts and understandings and wise decisions by all of our leaders. That's all we can do, so that the people become the important part, not politics. And that's for worldwide. All right, what's our next news story, sir?
We go to Camp Atterbury, where the questions being asked are ghosts haunting the grounds there at Camp Atterbury. Camp Atterbury is located in Johnson County and has been a dominant presence for countless years, located just south of Franklin and 5 miles due west of Edinburgh.
Did you hurt yourself there?
I think so. I think I sprained a vocal cord, yeah. It resides in a terrain of diverse contrasts, from agriculturally flat to gentle rolling hills to steep hills and valleys. The camp's history is equally as diverse as the landscape. A lot has happened it says on these grounds through the years. These grounds.
These is ones, right? It's here.
Yeah, over by Deers's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
For those of us living on the south side, it says it's an easy drive. Not for me, though. It's across the pond. And a history lesson, well worth taking. However, from time to time, the question arises, does Camp Atterbury have a haunted side? It would appear that pieces of it do. The Atterbury Job Corps was formed and administered, it's in the United States, I guess, by the U.S. Department of Labor. It's not over across the pond. As an educational and career technical training program for students ages 16 to 24, the intent of the program is to outfit students with the skills needed to succeed in today's workplace. All students participating in the program are required to live in dormitories on campus. These dormitories are the few buildings from the former Wakeman Hospital complex that still remain on the campus. Here to get the picture, you have former doctors and nurses and patients dealing with injuries beyond their control or understanding. You've got pain and suffering and life transformations. So where might this take us? Well, these buildings are all that remain from a time when they were used for another purpose, remnants of a past designation, and from several claims folks from the past have chosen to remain behind. Paranormal activity seems to be a frequent and ongoing reminder of a time when the world was in a different place. Atterbury has gone through many transformations, and presently the students are seeing ghosts. The dormitory for the Job Corps are reported to be a beehive of paranormal activity, including knocks on doors with no one on the other side, electrical malfunction such as lights flickering in one dorm but not in another, televisions turning on and off at whim, whispers, voices, and footsteps, shadows moving to and fro, the nagging feeling of being watched, strange occurrences in Bellamy Hall, and glowing yellow eyes and figures in the nearby woods. In October of 2013, there were students' claims of an apparition of a woman in the LBJ dorm and another of whistling centered in the ABL, or Abraham Lincoln dorm. The students are residents full-time and are a witness to the continuing cycle of unworldly visitations. They have been for years. The writer of the article says, I would suspect that the administration is well aware of the issue, but certainly not going to publicly admit to it, at least not if they want to keep their jobs. It says here, do not travel to Camp Atterbury's Job Corps Center with the intention of investigating the paranormal. It is not going to happen. If you're not a student or a parent of one, you'll not get very far. If you're found wandering the grounds, most likely you'll be arrested. There's a strict no-nonsense policy to haphazard visitors, and mentioning the paranormal will only make it a bad...
Hey, you people over there, are you doing nonsense? Is that what they're out there, the no-nonsense policy?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we have a clear no-nonsense policy.
Yeah, they'll get you for the nonsense, that's for sure. They'll get you right in the nonsense, probably. They... I've lost my place now. And mentioning the paranormal will only make a bad situation worse. It's not that the administration doesn't know things are out of the ordinary and that they're happening. They're just not talking about it. Get used to the 1,000-yard stare if you bring up the subject. There you go.
1,000-yard stare. It does sound like it's crazy active there, though. What do you put an article out there like that? All the stuff is going on, but please don't come here.
Yeah. Well, just to make you aware. Just to, just to get your appetite up so you can't do it.
All right. Speaking of appetite up, Tim, do you have any good quarantine meal choices going on?
The freeze-dried powdered eggs are pretty good. They're
you like that
tasty.
stuff?
No, I hate them. The 20-year-old Chef Boyardee mini raviolis are very nice. Very tasty this time of year. Yeah.
I didn't know that you were able to afford such fancy victuals, having a private chef and all.
Well, they're in the cupboard. They've been in the cupboard for a while. The Spam I haven't touched since I was 6. Still there.
Wow.
Pretty good.
And it's probably still got another 15 years before it starts going bad.
Scrape that thick layer of green stuff off the top, and
good God.
As new. Yeah. So, yeah.
People still swear by Spam, not this people.
So it's all good stuff there in the cupboard. How about you?
You know what? I've just been, I picked a good time to start intermittent fasting. So getting down to 1.5 meals a day. Yeah. It's good because I'm preserving the food. But you know what my favorite is, dude?
What's
favorite
that?
Comfort food?
Yeah.
Is and I know people are going to cringe when I say this, but Dinty Moore beef stew on macaroni and cheese. How dare you, good sir? How dare you?
Honestly, I'll tell you, although there's been a run on meat in the grocery store, I have been, because of this foot wound, which I'm not going to show you on camera.
Thank you. Please, yeah.
And it's grown back quite nicely. I've been eating pretty well.
Good.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. So I've been eating nice, nutritious meals. Low carb and yeah, been doing well.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, safety first. All right, where are we off to next in the world of supernatural news?
UFO sightings, Dave. More UFO stuff.
Are you okay? That sounded painful.
Trying to squeeze one up. A top footballer story, Dave. A story. Okay. I'm trying to squeeze a story out. What were you thinking? A top footballer, I think we call them soccer players here in the U.S., sparks a conspiracy meltdown with a Mars attacks video. Perfect time to do it, too, Dave, when the world is in jeopardy.
Yeah, we could always use a little bit more panic.
Yeah, why not? A UFO sighting was caught on camera by a top footballer. I like to call them soccer players. They don't really play real football. Has sparked a conspiracy.
The ball and they kick it with their feet. That would make it more football than football.
How dare you?
You just stopped and gave me the coldest look. I'm just saying, in soccer, you're using your feet, and it's a ball. In football, you're kicking the ball and using your hands to maneuver around and run, which is using your feet, I understand, but it's not the same contact. So I kind of feel like we should change the name of football here in America to something more like
exactly, football.
It's running football. Kick and holding on to balls.
Just because soccer didn't have the wherewithal to call it football to begin with. There's no reason. Soccer.
Crazy.
The UFO video prompted bizarre claims of alien visitors and extraterrestrial from Proxima Centauri. Yeah. 31-year-old Simon Church, the former striker from Plymouth Argyle. That's why it can't be football, Dave. You play for a team named Plymouth Argyle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't be you can't play for a football team named Plymouth Argyle. You're soccer.
I don't know. We play at the U.S. Cellular Stadium or at the Popeyes Chicken Stadium. There's got so many dumb names now of these places. But I digress.
Oh, it's sponsorship. Anyway. Yeah. You know, you got to make your millions somehow.
I know, but I whatever happened, just like the Metrodome to the to the Met Field. To something, just, that to me, Wrigley Field, I understand it was Wrigley Gum that advertised it, I know, but it still had that kind of, Comiskey Park. It's just so much better than Fanta Field, Shasta Field. I don't know.
Well, I don't think there's a stadium out there that has a name now that isn't tied to a sponsor.
I know, it's weird.
Yeah.
So I see them as I'm crossing the country. Anyway. Yeah. It has nothing to do with this show, but my mind's reeling. Go ahead. Maybe it's because I'm hungry.
I think that could be it. A 31-year-old Simon Church, the former striker for Plymouth Argyle, shared the video with his 23,000 Twitter followers in search of answers. So there you go. That's why soccer's not popular. 23,000 followers. Just saying. He tweeted, just seen the craziest thing while having a look at Venus tonight. Let's hope Venus is a woman. It was way too high to be a drone, and then just disappeared. Hashtag UFO, hashtag UFO sighting, hashtag crazy, hashtag what do you think? In a follow-up tweet, he said, it was moving quickly, then just disappeared. Surely can't be going mad after day 2 of isolation. The shaky video features a blob-like unidentified flying object that vanishes from sight towards the end. Mr. Church said that he caught the object on camera at about 8:30 p.m. on March 24th, and it was, quote, moving sharpish.
Sharpish.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. One person who saw the video replied, quote, that's the real deal. Congratulations. Amazing capture, unquote. Another person said, quote, he'd like to come and meet us, but he's scared he'll blow our minds, unquote. Mm-hmm. A third Twitter user said, quote, first wave of extraterrestrial from Proxima Centauri, checking if we are down yet, but will never take whales. Unquote.
That's important because whales should just be left in the ocean, Tim.
No, not that whale, Dave. Wales, the country. You know, the ones that can't pronounce stuff correctly. Yeah. Wow. Those guys. In a bid to
send your ye old email to Timothy at ye old darkness radio.
Yeah, if you can spell. Yeah. In a bid to explain the UFO, some have suggested it was a Chinese lantern or drone. However, the prevailing theory is that the footballer or soccer player chanced upon the International Space Station during an unusually clear night. Chris Grandin said about 8.30 ? If traveling in a straight line overhead, it was the space station. Another person backed the theory, saying space station if it was moving fairly quickly in a nice smooth trajectory at around 19.41 or at 21.17, or could have been the planet Uranus. In other words, he was looking at his bunghole. If it was stationary, your camera makes it look much bigger or more like a blob as it's not properly focused on it. Twitter user Buzz Boncath said also, yep, definitely the ISS then, pal. It passed over us twice tonight, once at that time and once at 10 p.m. The moment when it disappears into the...
Them and their science.
I know.
Logic.
Dumb soccer
player. Get time for that.
The moment when it disappears into the Earth's shadow always makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck. The space station can be seen from Earth on a good night, and weather permitting, you can even photograph or film it, he went on to say. NASA astronaut Jessica Meyer has even shared a picture this week of the ISS flying over the UK in the dead of night. The astronaut tweeted her photo on the same night Mr. Church shared his video. Mr. Church said after watching it, it must have been the space station. Cool to watch, but gutted. It's not Mars Attacks. The ISS is currently racing around
God, that's one of the worst movies out there. Oh.
Yeah, you're not a big fan?
Oh, jeez, no.
Yeah. The ISS, no. The ISS is currently racing around the planet at about 5 miles per second. The orbital lab is positioned in low Earth orbit at a height of about 250 miles. As the ISS flies around our planet, it completes a lap every 90 minutes for 16 laps every 24 hours. So there you go.
We have some answers now.
Yeah.
Just the ISS.
Just the ISS.
Not aliens trying to take over the planet yet.
No.
I am still waiting for them and all their benevolence to come down and help eradicate this disease so that the Earth can be put back on its axis properly. Or are they waiting now because we're all inside and pollution is starting to fade away? Is there hopes that we're going to become more enlightened as a species now and will be better suited for transmigratory travel? Oh, transmigratory. Is that a word? That sounds very fancy. I bet I get a lot of points on Scrabble. Transmigratory.
Give it a shot. Why not? Yeah. You could win the game.
Because we always hear the aliens are like, oh, you're just not ready yet. We would totally be benevolent, but we're just not ready yet. We would help you, but the intergalactic space laws won't allow such a thing.
You ought to take that on tour.
Racist by doing that voice?
No.
Is that just a quintessential alien voice?
You sound like one of them traveling experts that go on many, many different shows. Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, I think so.
Speaking of alien voices, let's jump to that story because I'm up for a little jam session.
You're up for a little sing-along?
Yeah.
All right. Brand new sing-along music videos out there, Dave. In case you can't remember on how to live your best quarantine life. I don't know why you can't remember from now. There have been so many messages out there. A Las Vegas extraterrestrial duo has been sharing advice. Many Las Vegas residents, as well as millions across the globe, I can't speak now, are facing what's likely their first ever quarantine enforced by either law or the fact that nothing beyond one's front door is open for business or gatherings. The result for many of us is utter, even maddening boredom. For those still looking to remedy that boredom, who better to give advice on how to deal with quarantine than extraterrestrials being kept quarantined in the Nevada desert?
Makes sense to me. Who else would you ask?
Well, their names are Hilly and Nilly, Dave.
Hilly and Nilly.
Hilly and Nilly.
Did they lose their brother Willie?
And Silly. Yeah, they fell off the ship on the way there. And during their time quarantined at Area 15, get it? Area 15. It's
I don't get it. That's the opposite of 51.
Yeah. They use their empty hours and songwriting ability to create a sing-along music video chock full of ideas to thrive in this newfound quarantined life with countless interstellar rhymes and rubbery dance moves. Of course, I got to have those. Hilly and Nilly offer more than enough ideas on how to stay entertained and healthy during the COVID-19 pandemic, all while showing humans that aliens aren't so different after all. Are you ready? Are you set?
Oh, I was born ready. Let's hear it.
All right, here we go. Here is the song.
I like that.
We're Hilly and Nilly. We're from another planet. We didn't really plan it, but it's where we crash landed. And since then we've been stranded and kept in quarantine in the deserts of Nevada, and we're never more seen. But recently we've noticed you're in quarantine too. In certain situations it's the safest thing to do. So take it from some aliens, no matter where you're staying. Social distance doesn't have to be alienating. Quarantine.
Yeah.
Quarantine. 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 You're stuck inside your crib. Is it lonely? Is it nice? Is it existential dread or a potential paradise? Take an alien's advice. Take your paradise and shake 'em. Make your quarantine into a planet Earth vacation. Quarantine, baby, it's enough to make you crazy. You're haunting your own home like it's goes with Patrick Swayze. Feeling lazy? Feeling nauseous? Feeling anxious? Make you nauseous? You can change it. Do some projects. You're the bosses. Y'all, you got this. Catch up on your reading, and I don't just mean on Facebook. Give yourself a real thing. Baby, it's time to face books. Hey, look, your bookshelf. Hear the knowledge calling. Something awesome. Something ballin'. Some Jane Austen. Some James Baldwin. Start an online business. You're at home. Make that bread. It's your kitchen. Learn to bake. You could literally make bread. Get that cabbage. Take that cabbage and ferment it. That's good wisdom. Good for body. Good for mind. Boost immune systems. Call your moms and fathers while you're streaming online concerts, eating vegan enchiladas and completing undone crosswords. With your Skyper as a spotter, safely lift your household objects. Turn your quarantine into a combo home gym and home office. Call your yoga babes. Call your yoga bros. Do a conference call in warrior pose. Play the radio. Call all the shows. Plant basil seeds. Play dominoes. Learn another language you could speak. Take a Google Earth tour of the land of Mozambique. You're a freak. Build a compost bin. Put your food scraps in and watch it decomposing over weeks. It reeks. You don't have to write the great American.
They don't take a breath.
Yeah, I don't. But you got to give them credit. I mean, they're being, creative with this time, trying to keep spirits lifted.
Yeah, they are.
Well, those aliens keep lifting me higher, higher than I've ever been before. Come on, Tim.
Hilly and Nilly are not real, it says here. I don't believe that. Yeah.
We just heard them, Tim.
I know. It says aliens are not sharing quarantine advice, at least not yet. I don't know why we can't believe in them, Dave. I think they're. I think they need a Round Mound of Sound remix, though.
Round Mound of Sound.
Yeah,
let me see what you can do with that, would you?
I think I will, because it's still it's a little too.
It's a little too 1981 attempt at rap.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That bad synth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The deep bass drum, that was nice.
It needs like a trap beat. It needs something more up to date. Yeah.
1981 rap. I dig it. I got to try to find my recording of
no, you don't.
Your raps.
No.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't.
Chicken Scratch. What was the name of the song? We're Poor.
It was Chicken Scratch. It was We're Poor, but that was way back in 1988, Dave. I mean that.
Yeah, but you were knocking it. You had some smooth, silky, Lila Cool jams coming out, brother.
That's nobody needs to hear that.
And you're the only rap song I know that ever used the word spork.
I did use spork, yeah, but nobody needs to hear that.
I'm going to find it.
No.
I'm going to find it. I've got all this time to kill. I'm going to find it. And we're going to play.
No, you don't need to find it. No.
Dave and Tim, Fred from Virginia here. I would say my best of all-time concert, believe it or not, has been Kid Rock in San Antonio, Texas, back in the early 2000s.
What?
Like him or hate him, he put on a hell of a show, and you felt like you were at a real rock concert. As for worst concert, as a country fan, Tim McGraw. I would not go see him for free. He completely missed a private concert or military members, was active duty Air Force for 20 years in Tampa, Florida. And the other time I saw him, he did the stringing of all of his hits into a 3-minute song deal. Oh, he's pulling a Prince moment.
Medley, yeah.
Yeah, all the rest was garbage. So Tim McGraw was funky for no reason, Tim.
Yep.
Yep.
No good.
Yeah, he said, he's off my buddy list. That reference should tell you how long I've held my Tim McGraw grudge. Just my 2 cents, Fred from Virginia. I will say this. I've seen Tim McGraw twice, mainly because Faith Hill was also performing with him. But I thought it was a great little concert.
By the way, Faith Hill, from here to here. That's how big her waist is.
From your wrist to your forearm.
Yep, that's how big her waist is.
She's very small. She was a very petite woman. Still is, I believe. I don't know. We're not that close anymore.
Yeah.
Let me see. Another quick email here. Hi, Dave, and how you doing, Tim? That's how it says. My name is Keegan. Sorry about my punctuation. My phone screen is broken. All right. Let's see. I've been listening to you guys for over 10 years. Really love your show. And let's see. Sorry, some of this is private message to me, so I don't want to read that part on here. Sure. He goes, my best concert was 30 Seconds to Mars at Janus Landing in St. Petersburg, Florida, 2005. Okay. Jared Leto jumped into the crowd at the small venue and put his arm around me and my friend, and we got to sing our favorite song with him. It was so awesome.
Cool.
Well, that's good. Yeah. I forget Jared Leto is a singer as well.
Oh, yeah.
As an annoying actor. My worst concert was mindless self-indulgence I ended up seeing by mistake. I went into the wrong door to see the wrong band. If that wasn't bad enough, the singer spit on me, and apparently this was part of the show. Oof. Fans were jealous of me, but I was just pissed off. I just got PTSD from thinking about it. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I'm sending good juju to you from Keegan. Thank you, Keegan. Yeah, we appreciate that, the good juju. You know what? That kind of reminds me of one of my favorite concerts, too, that I saw was the Violent Femmes.
Oh, yeah, they're good.
They did an outdoor concert. It was like a big Summerfest, I think it was, in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. And they put on one hell of a show. Mm-hmm. I mean, like a really solid, great concert. Had a lot of fun with that. Also, seeing The Time. When you and I first moved up to the cities, we went and we saw The Time together at First Avenue.
Yep.
That was pretty cool.
Yep.
Because it's The Time at First Avenue. We were enjoying it.
Yeah.
You and I were on our jungle love.
Yep.
Oh. Hey, Dave. Been off and on listening to your guys' podcasts. Don't usually listen to podcasts, only to listen to them when my dad was, I guess, our bond time, since both of us like paranormal stuff. So he told me I should listen to podcasts more, so I decided to get your app and listen to you guys more often. Anyway, it's story time. I don't know if this counts as paranormal or just coincidence. Well, we'll be the judge of that.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I lived in a 2-story house in a somewhat small town. Maybe I was around 18 or 19. I'm currently 22. One night around 10 p.m., I went to bed because I had work the next day, and I closed my doors. At that time, I didn't know if it was a dream or not, because sometimes I have a hard time telling my dreams apart, because sometimes they're on a loop, like the movie Inception, or happen in real life, but with a different twist. A tall, white, faceless character, I could only see his beak, this humanoid creature, maybe around 6 foot something, with black wings, opened my window and came into my room. Come to my window.
I don't think that's what that song
Bonnie
is.
Raitt or somebody? No?
Well,
no, not Bonnie Raitt. Who is that? That's Melissa Etheridge.
Yes, Melissa Etheridge. Yeah.
I apologize, Melissa, up front for my rendition.
Yeah, you should.
The creature crouched for a bit and stood up and started walking around my room sniffing. That's the face. It's the face of the sniffing noise. I actually was self-conscious and tried waking up, but I couldn't. So I tried hiding beneath my blanket. The creature opened my closet, then proceeded into the bathroom, then heard me breathing heavily and came rushing at me with his claws. They were black at the end of the tip, and it was screeching at me. And then I died.
Jeez.
Then I woke up sweating, and I saw I had a red scratch mark on my chest. the mark was IX on my chest, and the pain was this burning sensation. So I looked around my room, and at the bathroom door was open. The closet door was open. The front door to enter my room was open. I don't know if I sleptwalked. My parents told me I don't, or someone came into my room. Apparently my dad didn't come in to check on me, sometimes to use my bathroom if the other one was being used. I don't know if those scratches came from my dog, but I usually feel them when they're trying to play around and I'm sleeping. I have one or two more stories if you're interested, something similar but not that extreme. If that doesn't count, sorry for wasting your time. But hope you guys have a great day and keep it up. I do enjoy listening, even if I don't do it all the time. Isaiah, thank you for writing in. Great stories. Feel free to write more and write in. Just use spell check and help me a little bit. Read it before you send it. Read it out loud before you send it, because I had to do a little editing and jumping around because it was I could tell you were probably hammering away on your phone and just free-form thinking. So just read it out loud, make sure it reads smoothly, and I'd appreciate it. We'd love to hear more of your crazy-ass tales of paranormal activity. No, I don't mean that in a bad way. I love when that's crazy. Something crawls in through the window.
Yeah.
Stomping around the room, sniffing, snorting, going into the closet, going into the bathroom, chasing you down. It's freaky. I love that stuff. Share it with us. All right. What other supernatural news do we have?
Well, in the Dave tries to screw up subject of our program today, we go to Indonesia, Dave.
I like it. Let's try to hear you repeat all these words.
All right. Men dressed as Pokong Spook Village in central Java into self-isolation. I don't know what this is. We leave it to traditional Indonesian ghosts. We're going Indonesian ghost hunting, evidently, to guard your neighborhood during a self-imposed isolation amid the COVID-19 outbreak. The Tuk Songo village in the Purworejo region, regency of central Java has recently gone viral on social media for employing a uniquely Indonesian approach to restrict people from entering and leaving their kampung. The two men dressed up as the Pokong have been posted to guard the village's main entrance after a self-imposed isolation to curb the spread of the novel coronavirus was put in place. For those of you who may not be well versed with Indonesia's huge catalog of mythical creatures, a Pokong is basically the Indonesian zombie, wrapped from head to toe with white cloth, as is customary in Islamic burial rites. If you're looking at the picture I'm looking at, it almost looks like somebody's wrapped them in toilet paper. I mean,
well, that's the creepy thing. But you got to appreciate the ingenuity. These guys are just going to sit out there looking like these wrapped corpses to spook off people that want to go outside and aren't social distancing.
Yeah, so these Pokong are basically Indonesian zombies wrapped from head to toe with white cloth, as is customary in Islamic burial rites, with only their faces uncovered. With their lack of limb mobility, they hop around from place to place. A little creepy, a little weird. The village spokesman, Angko Sediarzo Widodo, I'm not going to repeat that twice, told Detik yesterday that residents had decided to self-isolate the village as a form of gotong royong, the Indonesian phrase for mutual cooperation in the fight against the coronavirus, and that no one is allowed in or out until normalcy returns. Together with other residents, the Pokongs will check on anyone who passes the gate, including spraying disinfectants on people. The Pokongs are only on duty at night, while other residents guard the gate during the day, Angko explained. With the ongoing isolation, all other access to the kampung is closed, and residents can only enter through the Pokong guarded gate. According to Angko, this is an important subtext behind the Pokong guards. The Pokongs are to remind us of death, so anyone who is Nyel or stubborn and doesn't want to participate in the coronavirus preventative measures can themselves become a Pokong. Our hope is
maybe they meant to say in denial.
No, it's spelled
or naive. I don't know.
It's Nyel or stubborn in their language. It's Ngeyel.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Right. It's okay. Can themselves become a Pokong? Our hope is for the pandemic to end soon. Enko says the residents of Tuk Songo are giving us a glimpse of hope amid many ridiculous COVID-19 related stories circulating on the web lately, including the doomsday shoppers in Jakarta who wore hazmat suits to the supermarket, or the Indonesian parents who made their young children smoke herbal cigarettes to resist the coronavirus. So there you go.
Smoking herb.
Herbal cigarettes. Herbal cigarettes.
Right. Herb.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not like, the herb.
But not the, what's this? What's
The
this move? The herb. You look like that's Segura pizza. That's the look you just gave me.
Not like
All right. Where are we going next?
A Malaysian ghost scares I think this might be, is this a repeat of what I just read?
Oh, it's a different story, I believe. One
Is
is
it?
Indonesia, one's Malaysia, Tim.
Oh, look at me being culturally insensitive.
It's going. Please send your hate mail directly to tim@darknessradio.com.
All right, then. Malaysian ghost scares teenagers breaking a coronavirus lockdown. Concerns about youngsters in the community not adhering to the country's coronavirus lockdown. A Malaysian man attempted to scare them straight and wound up causing something of a ghost panic. The odd idea was reportedly the brainchild of Muhammad Urabil, Elias? I'll go alias. Who had grown irritated by the stubborn teens that continued to congregate at night in his town of Chikai, despite government orders to avoid such gatherings in order to fight the pandemic. And so over the weekend, he decided to send the youngsters a message by way of some spooky photos that ultimately captured the imagination of Malaysians residents far beyond his neighborhood. On Saturday evening, we'll just say Elias, posted pictures on social media of an eerie-looking figure wearing a white robe and beard while standing atop a van outside his home. Although the photos were largely made in jest with the hopes that they might scare some teenagers standing inside, the images quickly went viral in Malaysia as people genuinely believed that the man had encountered a ghost. And amazingly, it would appear that they served their purpose beyond what even Elias had expected, as he marveled that when I uploaded the pictures on Facebook, everyone panicked and was scared to go out at night. Be that as it may, the photos have proven to be so popular online that Elias actually expressed regret over the stunt, saying, "My wife and I apologize if we have gone overboard." To that end, the faux ghost has even gone so far as to debunk the images by revealing the true nature of the spirit on social media. That may be for the best, since one can imagine that the belief that ghosts roaming the streets is exactly the kind of thing that would inspire bored teens to ignore the lockdown in hopes of spotting one of the apparitions. So there you go.
I guess that's another way of looking at it, right? You want to using the ghost to try to keep them at bay, and it may actually be calling people out to investigate more.
Right.
I don't know. All right, how many more do we have here?
We have just one last one, Dave. Just one last rant for today.
Last one. Well, then let me read this email first.
Sure.
And then we'll do that. Dave, greetings. First off, big fan. Although I didn't listen to Darkness Radio all the time, I love the episodes I did tune into. Secondly, I never miss an airing of Coast to Coast AM that you hosted. You were my favorite guest host. I loved what you brought to the show. Oh, thank you. Sweet. Had a little cough, just dry throat. Don't get all nervous, folks. I know I sneezed off screen a few seconds ago, and now I'm followed up by a cough. And people are probably panicking. I'm fine. Doing good. Don't worry,
Take
folks.
your temperature right now.
I am. Hang on.
Okay, what do you got?
98.6.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, good.
Sure you do.
Okay, my Whaley-related story, the Whaley House, was my first investigation 30 years ago, and in my subsequent investigations since then, never once have I captured any evidence or had any experiences there. My girlfriend at the time had her hair pulled and caught a ghostly figure on the staircase on film. Her first visit there. Unfortunately, she no longer has the photo or negative. What's wrong?
Oh, I'm saying to the story. She no longer has it.
About 5 years ago, my tapophile partner and I went to Mount Hope Cemetery in San Diego to visit the Medal of Honor recipient buried there and to visit the Whaley gravesite. We visited on a Sunday, so the cemetery office closed, so no map and couldn't inquire on burial locations. So we were wandering blind. My partner was about 50 yards away from me, and so no one else was in or around the area of the cemetery we were in. It was a quiet, warm, and non-breezy day. I was walking down one of the rows of graves, searching for the Whaley headstone. As I was walking, I noticed the tall obelisk marker for the Hortons of Horton Plaza in downtown South Dakota to my left. As soon as I noticed the marker, I heard a young girl's voice say, "Here." Not South Dakota, San Diego, Tim. SD threw me for a second.
Oh, right.
I forgot San Diego is where the Whaley House is, not in South Dakota.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I heard this voice say, "Here," clear as a bell. I looked to my right where the voice came from, and 3 graves ahead of me was Violet Whaley's grave. Again, no other people were anywhere near me, let alone a child. My graving partner was now 100 yards from me, so it wasn't her talking to me. So there it was, Violet's upright marker with her parents' flat marker placed in front. So it was Violet directing me to her grave. I spent about 10 minutes talking to her, keeping her company until my friend found her way over to me. I'm not a sensitive. I don't claim to be a medium, but the few experiences I have had, first experience talking with a disembodied voice, happened when I was 3 years old. They've been very exceptional. This was a cool one. Thanks for letting me share my story, Dave. Thanks. That comes from Terry Myers in Huntington Beach, California. You know, if you're looking, if you just, flip open your phone and call out to whatever service you've got there, Google or Siri, and just ask, where is Violet Whaley buried? A lot of times it'll pull up and even give you the GPS coordinates or walking directions to that exact spot. That's how I find a lot of cool graves. So just something to keep in mind. Go ahead, Tim. You have the floor for our final news story.
I'm a little alarmed here, Dave.
Why is that?
Well, I keep telling you, AI's taken over. You don't believe me. You don't believe me, but now we're in dangerous times, Dave. We're in uncertain. Everyone keeps using this term "uncertain times." We're beyond uncertain times. We're in dangerous times, Dave.
Why do you say that, Tim?
Dangerous times, Dave.
Okay, let me hear.
And now, when we're in these dangerous times, we're just going to turn everything over to technology.
It's the only way to go, Tim. It's the way we're going to save all of our lives.
Because we don't have enough bodies, Dave. We don't have enough bodies to cover, especially in the medical field.
So what's happening that's got you so spooked, my friend?
Well, in Ireland, robots are being used in an Irish hospital to do basic admin tasks so nurses can spend more time treating coronavirus patients. Oh, sure, you may say, that's a good thing, Tim.
That's a good thing, Tim.
But is it?
I thought so because I just said it.
Yeah, you did say it.
Yeah.
But is it, Dave? I want you to think.
I know in your mind it is not.
I want you to think about this for a minute. I want you to think about this. I'm going to read this story and then I want you to think about this. Okay. A hospital in Ireland is using cutting edge software robots to help free up nurses to spend as much time with patients as possible during the coronavirus pandemic. Mater, I don't even know how you say that last name there. Is it Misericordiae University?
Sure, why not?
Just to confirm, you'd like to call Kevin Day mobile?
No.
Oh,
who would you like
AI
to
is taking over, Tim.
I don't want to call anybody.
Sorry, I'm having trouble with the connection. Please try again in a moment.
Oh, Tim, AI is listening. Always listening.
Right? Anyways, this hospital in Dublin will now have robots that rapidly process administrative and computer-based tasks that nurses normally have to do. It is hoped that by giving nurses more available time, they can spend it at the side of critically ill patients fighting COVID-19. Software developers at UiPath developed a system that will speed up the often clunky processes inside the healthcare system. It is hoped that by getting computers to do most of the mundane admin tasks, they can spend up to 50% more time with patients. The tech will also speed up the process of analyzing and communicating COVID-19 test results to patients and organizations around the world. Jinsey Jerry, which is the cutest damn name ever for an administrator, Assistant Director of Nursing Infection Prevention and Control at the hospital, said, given that IPC nurses spend close to 30% of their day with administrative tasks, for the past few months, I have been looking at ways to make software robots part of our daily jobs. With the COVID-19 pandemic unfolding now, it is crucial that all frontline staff are freed up as much as possible to spend time with patients and deal with this outbreak rather than being in front of computers. Not only will automation help with this, but it will also take the strain off the hospital as it continues to process huge amounts of more routine patient data in addition to COVID-19 specific information. As we've already seen, alongside the public playing their part in physical distancing, fast diagnosis and appropriate self-isolation are crucial to preventing the spread of COVID-19. We're confident that the project we're embarking on will help mitigate the huge strain this outbreak is putting on healthcare organizations, not just in MMUH, but across Ireland. Mark O'Connor, Public Sector Director of Ireland at UiPath, added, with a robot for every nurse approach, essential frontline staff will be freed to be nurses and not system administrators, being able to focus more on the quality of care, which can make a real difference when it comes to treating patients in times of need. The move from the hospital comes as robot experts say machines could be trained to disinfect surfaces, take temperatures, and collect swabs. Adding new functionalities to robot would enable the dull, dirty, and dangerous jobs to be automated. In an editorial for Scientific Journal, I don't care how he chose it. He chose it anyways. Of the Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh and other signatories wrote, the experiences with the 2015 Ebola outbreak identified the broad spectrum of use cases for robots. Many of the applications would serve to help reduce the risk of humans being directly exposed to disease, but funding for multidisciplinary research and partnership with agencies and industry to meet these use cases remains expensive, rare, and directed to other applications. So here's the deal, Dave. Take a trip with me, if you will, for a second. Look into my eyes, my friend. Look into these eyes.
These eyes, do-do-do-do-do.
I want you to think for a second here. There's a key phrase here. All right? The move from the hospital comes as experts say machines could be trained to disinfect surfaces, take temperatures, and collect swabs. How far of a jump is it from just doing that mundane work to eventually those robots going off their programming of just taking the temperatures, doing the swabs, to giving you false data, and then eventually turning those tests around, telling you you're positive when you're negative, and then
I'm more worried about the thermometer. What if it comes in and pokes me in the eye?
Right. Okay. It goes to do
right in the nose.
Right. It goes to do the swab. Right. And it goes a little too far and jabs you in the brain, turns your lights out.
Wow, you are a spooky individual.
That AI decides that the humans are the virus, Dave, and then decides that the virus needs to be eradicated, and then decides to eradicate that virus. God,
somebody needs to be hugged. Folks, I'm going to end this episode because it's time for me to cradle Tim in my arms and sing him to sleep after the lovin'. That's it for this week, folks. Stay safe, be happy, be kind. We will be back tomorrow. Freddy Krueger himself, Robert Englund, joins us as we talk about true terror right here on the best in Paranormal Talk Radio. That's Tim. I'm Dave. This is Darkness Radio.